construction loans.
How fun is this?
If you really want to do this, this is stuff you need to know. Hey friends, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing about construction loans and things that you can do right now, regardless of where you are in your financial journey, to start preparing for a home build if that is what you want. My family's been on this crazy journey for, oh my gosh, 2 years now. We started out looking for a pre-built house. Building a custom home was not in our plan, but we are so excited. It's like such a dream to be building this house. And I will link a video where we prayed a 30-day novena to St. Joseph, and he pulled out all the stops for us. We got this beautiful 5-acre plot of land that actually we didn't even realize at the time what a great deal we got on it, but praise the Lord, it's ours, and we are so excited to start our homestead. So I'm going to be sharing in this video what I've learned along the way, because honestly, stuff about construction loans on the internet was so sparse. I wish that I had more info when I started out. So I'm excited to share with you. So the first thing that I would recommend doing is looking for land starting now, regardless of whether or not you're ready to start building. As long as you have something in your savings, even if you don't have a 20% down payment, just go ahead and buy your land now, because if you can, because first of all, land prices are only going up. They're not getting any cheaper, especially if you live in an area where the real estate market is hot. I live in the Shenandoah Valley. A ton of people from DC are coming out here after COVID because they want their homestead, they want their little dream house property. And so there's a lot of commuters from DC who previously would never have considered driving that far, who are now like, oh, I can work from home. Let's go find a beautiful house near the mountains. So the real estate in my area is very hot. The prices are going only up, even though the interest rates are crazy in 2024. And so we are seeing, just an increasing land value. Here's the thing specific to construction loans that you should know that's really important. The land serves as your down payment on your house. The land serves as your down payment on your house. So when the bank looks at a construction loan, they look at the entire project. So they look at the land plus the house as one project together. So let's imagine you pay $100,000 for your land. And then let's imagine you put a house on it that's going to cost $400,000. From the bank's purpose, they look at the entire project as a $500,000 project. So since your land in this scenario equals 20% of your total project, you've already got your down payment once your land is paid off. You don't have to save for a separate down payment for your house, as long as the land equals 20% of your entire project. The national banks don't do construction loans, and that's because construction loans are riskier. So only the local banks that are really locally invested in this economy, the specific Shenandoah Valley economy, will give you a construction loan. So with that being said, your number of options of places where you can get a home loan is smaller for construction loans, and you have to bring that 20%. You really, in my experience, do your research again, but I found that because it's a higher risk, they don't do it 10% down, 5% down. You really have to qualify for that 20%. But that's okay as long as you're making your payments on your land or paying it off in full. One other thing to know about land is if you can do a cash offer, that's best. Land is gonna be less expensive than a house. And so if you have some money saved, put that towards your land and pay it all off at once if you can. If you can finance your land. Land loans are something around like 15 years rather than a typical 30-year loan. And again, it's going to be a local bank that's probably going to do a land loan. For us in this area, we have the Bank of Clark, which is Clark County is close by. So there's a bank named after it. We also have F&M Bank, which stands for Farmers and Merchants Banks. Bank, and then there's a couple other in our area that do construction loans and land loans, but they're more of a specialty thing. Start talking to builders in your area. This is going to vary widely depending on what area of the country you're in, but different builders will charge different prices per square foot. The cheapest I've seen anywhere in my area, this is 2024, is $200 a square foot. So you should count on that being the minimum, unless maybe you live in Texas and it's cheaper there. I don't know, or Montana or whatever. But compare and talk to different builders, because you're going to get different personalities. You're going to get a different rate with different builders, and they'll tell you, okay, we charge this much as a base per square foot. In later videos, I'll talk about how you can get more square footage for fewer dollars. There's a couple great things that our builder has done. But for the purposes of this video, I just want to encourage you to call builders in your area to even get an idea of what it looks like to build a house. Imagine your budget and then say, or find out your budget rather, actually don't imagine it. I imagine a $3 million budget, but find out what your budget is for a house, find out what your budget is for land, and then talk to a builder and say, what could I afford for this much? And they'll tell you, they should know right off the bat. We went with Whitaker Construction. I recommend them. They are awesome if you live in the Shenandoah Valley. They're very honest. They work very hard, and they'll tell you what you can afford, what you can't. And they also are really great for growing families like ours. We have 4 children. We don't know if we're called to have more, but either way, we are not looking at like a 1,200 square foot house here. We are looking to build a large family house that we're hopefully going to stay in for the next 30 years. And praise the Lord, we found the Whitakers, and they've been great to work with. Also, they really, really want you to get the house that you want. And they will bend over backwards to get you the house that you want. And I have been very impressed with their work ethic. Okay, let's talk about a one-time close versus a two-time close. Wow, I am really tired today. My children wake me up at 4:30 in the morning, and it's not enough sleep for me. Where was I? There's a one-time close and a two-time close. Okay, let's talk about the two-time close first. Two-time close. So, sounds like a little nursery rhyme or something. A little two-time close. Here's the deal. Interest rate fluctuates all the time, right? We've seen between 2020 and 2024, interest rates went way down, and then they went way high, and they're still way high. What happened to a couple friends of ours who did a two-time close construction loan was this. They got a rate for the construction loan. So they locked in their rate for their mortgage, but only for the period of construction. And then, so they went to closing once for the duration of construction. And then they had to go to closing again at the end of construction. So construction is roughly a year. So they closed on their construction loan, and then the builder started building the house. And then what happened was the interest rates started going up, 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 up. And by the time the year had passed, interest rates had doubled, and that affected their mortgage so strongly that they actually got priced out of their home, and they did not have the ability to move into their house. They had to sell their house back to the bank, and the bank sold their house. So they built their dream home, and then they couldn't live in it because of interest rates. That is how much effect it can have. So that is the risk of a two-time close. If you can do a one-time close, do it. Let me explain what a one-time close is. When you close on your house one time at the beginning of construction, you don't have to go back to closing when construction is done. So you lock your interest rate for the duration of your entire loan. You could close on a 30-year home loan, and you've locked your interest rate, and there's no risk of your interest rate going up higher like there is with a two-time construction loan. So you can probably tell which one I'm a fan of and which one we decided to go with, because interest rates have been so volatile. We did not want to run the risk of building our house and then getting priced out of it like our friends did. So we did a one-time close where we closed at the beginning of construction. Now here's the tricky thing about a one-time close, okay? So obviously that's more desirable because you have much less risk to yourself and your possibility of living in your home. The hard thing about a one-time close is that your current living situation, let's say you own the home that you're in, we own this home, we had to qualify for the mortgage on this house as well as the mortgage on the next house. Now the bank will lend you between 45 and 50% as a maximum of your income. So let's imagine you make $5,000 a month. Well, for both mortgages, you're gonna have to make sure that both of those mortgages together equal $2,500 or less per month. That's 50% of your take-home pay every month. So you have to make sure that it's 50% or less, or else you're not gonna get the loan for both your current place and your new place. Does that make sense? This kind of stuff, my head starts spinning around when I start talking about this kind of stuff. We did a one-time close with the help of my dad as our guarantor, who basically says that if we don't have the money to pay, he's gonna step in for us. Okay, I wanted to clarify one thing, which is that when I talk about your take-home pay, your income, and so forth, that's really your debt-to-income ratio. So what that means is not just your income, but also your debts. So if you're paying off student loans, the bank is going to look at that as a debt that is going to count against you. If you have $5,000 of take-home pay per month, but then you have $1,000 of a student loan, then you really only have $4,000 from the bank's perspective, because that is going to count against you. So with that in mind, getting rid of all your debts and getting a really good credit score is going to get you the best rate possible, and it's really going to help you to actually get the house that you want. So that's a great, that's like a common sense for any house building or any home purchase, but try and make whatever lifestyle changes you need to achieve that faster, because the faster you can do that, the faster you can get out of debt, the faster you can improve your credit score, the better it's going to be, the happier you're going to be with the end result, and the less stress you'll have in the building process, because you won't be worrying about money so much. Just for the duration of the construction, we have to qualify to pay 50% or less of our income. Nobody wants to spend half of your take-home pay on a mortgage. Like, that's way too high to be sustainable. But just for the bank's purposes, they want to make sure that, let's say at the end of construction, we are moving out of our house and our house doesn't sell, or we are moving out and we are trying to find a renter and we can't rent our house for whatever reason. Something comes up and we have a whole year where we're carrying 2 mortgages instead of just 1. Well, the bank wants to make sure that they're still going to get paid, which is why they have a higher requirement for the one-time close. I just encourage you to save, because construction is expensive. There are estimated costs that your builder gives you at the beginning. So he says, this is what we estimate is gonna happen when it comes to drilling a well. This is the estimated cost. But there's things that crop up, like when we were in the process of getting our permits for our house, we'd already closed on our construction loan, and then we found out that there was no design for the septic field. Well, that's like another $2,500 to, a septic guy, architect, I don't know who we even paid, but we had to just shell out $2,500. So stuff like that pops up a lot, where they're like, oh, you didn't have shower pressure regulators or shower temperature regulators. Those going to be $200 each, so it's a total of another $600 just out the window. And it's like, well, you gotta put down the money to build the house. So I would encourage you to keep as much in your savings as possible. For my husband and me, we talked about it so much. We talked about it so extensively with all the possibilities, because not only are we taking on the liability of a construction loan where anything can happen, but we're also planning to rent out our house. And so we are going to have 2 houses that we need to take care of, and we need to have enough in our savings to make sure that we can float this whole thing. So our level of comfort and our savings was to keep a year's worth of my husband's salary in our savings. So if things went terribly wrong, he lost his job, couldn't find work for a year or whatever, like all the worst case scenarios, we still wanted to make sure that we would be okay to keep the lights on and keep paying the bills. That's going to be subjective, for whatever you decide. But basically any lifestyle changes you can make to save as much money as possible, that's really going to benefit you with a construction loan. We've tried to save money a lot on this house. Like, I've gotten secondhand stuff. I Facebook Marketplaced my face off, but then things crop up like this septic field design, and you're like, okay, well, here's $2,500 that, basically erases the amount that I worked so hard to save with secondhand light fixtures. But whatever, it's okay. So I hope this content was valuable for you. If you like what you are seeing and you want to see more, please like, subscribe, and share this with any friends you know that need to have this information. I'm going to keep sharing about our new home build. I really want to do a home tour. It's just been really hard finding a time when I can go by myself, so that you're not listening to my children like yelling, and also a time when the workmen are not there, so that it's not like noisy in the background. So I'm really trying to find a time in the next couple of weeks. Oh, and pray my family stays infection free. We have had the winter from hell as far as sickness goes, just one sickness after another. So all of my plans for the series have just been put on hold, but I'm hoping to keep rolling with it. So if you want to see more about construction loans and building a house, specifically a homestead for a larger Catholic family, which is what we are doing on a non-millionaire budget, then keep watching, and please subscribe, leave a comment below. It tells the algorithm that you like this content. So thank you so much for stopping by. I'm going to leave some links in the show notes where you can support my ministry. And of course, feel free to check out all of my other free discernment content on my channel, as well as my podcast called Encaffeinated. God bless you. Till I see you next time.